Hey, it's Josh with Content Marketing Media, and today I'm going to walk you through what I think is probably our best lead generation workflow that we built to date. We're going to use a tool called Coresignal, and the reason we sought this tool out is we were looking for a data source that really allowed us to find more obscure scenarios, but also had just a robust amount of data. So let me start off by introducing you to Coresignal, give you a quick little background. They're about boosting businesses with rich data, right? So you have to call their data via APIs, but just to kind of give you an example, they have company data, employee data, headcount data, jobs data. Going a little bit further here, but just different ways that you can pull that specific data. They use Indeed, Trustpilot, Glassdoor, Crunchbase, obviously LinkedIn as well. But they have a pretty significant amount of data. So I thought it would be cool to see if we can connect and see what we can create. And this just gives you some of the use cases, right? Lead enrichment, talent analytics, sourcing, sales, HR, marketing. So a lot of potential use cases for a lot of potential customers here. So I'll kind of walk you through what we did. So let me get into Coresignal. And you can sign up for a free plan. So even when I built this workflow, it really didn't cost me, hadn't cost me anything at this point. And the way their model works is you can do search. So they have search credits, which allows you to kind of build out your data sets. And then you can do collect credits. And that's when you go down and pull the individual company or entity or person. So it's nice that you can do some research and see how big your list is before you actually pull down the data. And then they have a query generator. So with this query generator, and this is a use case we're gonna have, you can search by members, companies, or jobs, and then pretty advanced filtering, right? So if you see, at least in the company side here, size, city, state, region, and this is the example that I use, but where we can pull funding data, and then even on the member side, job title, country, LinkedIn URL, keyword, etc. So a ton of certifications, exact company name, jobs. So just a ton of potential applications here for almost any type of business. But we wanted to use a pretty hard use case, so we decided to do IT and services, or some version of e-com in the IT industry and services industry. We chose the date of April 7th. We just chose this year, and then we ran this query. So what's cool about this is you can run this query manually, and I'll just show you here. We generate the query, and maybe I did something wrong there. So let me switch the dates up a little bit. I think I did the from and the to in the wrong place, but that's a live YouTube video. So let's generate the query here. I'll just put So here we got 26 data records. So the nice thing is that was one search credit. But what I get to do is just see a preview of the data. And why I wanted to highlight this is just the amount of data is unbelievable. And you're going to see this in the queries, but this is just one company, and it goes on and on and on. It's obviously all in JSON, but there is a significant amount of data here. So they're pulling from all those data sources I showed you in the beginning and giving us access to so many data points, and being able to do that by query. And in this case, very specific query, last funding round date from January 1st to April 7th, IT and services in the United States. That's a very specific query. And so the next challenge was, how do we connect that to Clay? And so I want to show you, when I go to proceed data collection here, there's two options. You can download the data, and it tells you exactly how much credits you're going to use. There's 26 leads, so it'd be 26 credits. Or you can collect it via API. So I know everybody's not familiar with API calls, but the one thing I did was build these workflows for you so you can cut and paste this section right here, which is the query. So the funding, last round date, etc. So I'm going to show you that here in the Clay workflow. So let's get into Clay, and we will go to, you're going to need two tables for this, one to make the query and then one to get the results. And so here's the custom query, and it's a very simple table. I put this in here. We're going to say this one is now IT. This really doesn't do anything. It's just for my own notes. But here's the API call. And with this API call, you're going to go in and edit the column. Obviously, I'll pull my API key out, so you'll have to replace your API key. But if you notice where I said previously, you're just going to cut and paste the body of the query. If we come back here and we look at this query, you can cut and paste your query into here, right? So you don't need to understand API code. This will be in here for you. You'll need to add your own API key from Coresignal, but other than that, you can cut and paste your query. So here's that exact query written in the body of the API call. Everything else is set up for you, including the endpoint, the methods, etc. So when you run that, you're going to get an output that looks like this, and it's just numbers, and this is an ID number, and we need this to make the second API call. And so these are the results, and then we used a Clay function to write to another table. And that's it. So that's it in this original query, and obviously I'll share both queries when I make the post. But here are the results tables. And so I'll first walk you through, here's the ID numbers. I just used a sample of 9 so I could show you some clean data. There, you know, obviously this list could have been 26, you know, and it could have been as big as the query that I ran. But in the second query, there's nothing you're going to need to do because it's already programmed to pull in, to make a get call and pull in the results from that ID number, which you see out on the left. So nothing really to do there at all, except, again, you'll need to enter your API key, which we will leave blank, and it'll say bearer and then API call here down below, right there. So that's mine, and you'll replace it with yours. And then what you see right away is just robust data. So that's what I want to stress here. You see the LinkedIn, you see number of employees, the type of company they are, when they're founded, their website, their logo, a very unique description of them, and then a lot of data that could or could not be populated, but employee count, location of their headquarters. And as you get further down, this is when you start to see more of the robust data. So this also viewed collection, I wrote a workflow on that, but that just kind of gives companies that are extremely similar specialties, funding rounds, Crunchbase info. Employee collection is a LinkedIn profiles of employees at the company, investors, etc. And then we took this a little further. I pulled down some of that data here so you could see it. But I asked GPT to do a funding overview since that was the purpose of this workflow. And that prompt will be in here so you can see it. But the funding overview is just basically a 2-paragraph overview of the funding rounds they've done, since that was the premise of our prompt. And I said specifically mention everything in 23 and 24, right? So you can obviously change that. But we got great data. We get great, you know, output. Extremely detailed output, right? So that's what we're after. And this just goes through, you know, different funding scenarios, if they did or did not have it. Again, we should, since that was our query. You can see with this one, we're getting extremely detailed with the amount of funding, 570 million in January 4th. This is critical information to know, right? Especially from a lead targeting perspective. And then we asked it to compare recent updates. So give me a 2-paragraph summary of their last 10 updates. Some of these companies have 50, 75 updates in the data, but this gives us just robust amount of information. So, you know, pull up this one, just all kinds of information that you're not necessarily going to get from the website or anywhere else. So pretty detailed information. And then we did the similar companies one as well. So again, just a prompt that says, give me an output of the similar companies. And you can see what's cool about this output is I really liked is not only getting similar companies, but we get their LinkedIn profiles, right? So you could easily clean this further, and now you have, you know, however many of their top competitors, highly detailed list, LinkedIn profiles. And then, as we always do, we wanted to give you a way to create and turn this into copy. So we said your offer, obviously it's the same offer across the board here because we just wanted to test it, but you can plug this in with whatever you want. And then we wanted to turn that into copy, and that was the whole goal. Let's create highly relevant copy. My favorite one I looked at is the first one because it references the New York InsurTech Spring Conference in 2024. If you go back in the research, this happened like in March, right? So this is extremely relevant data. This copy is great. We're saying that they were recently involved in that. We talk about their commitment to social responsibility, diverse global cultures, and then we introduce our offer. And that's what we do in every aspect of what we do. And this is dynamic, right? So this will change based off your offer. So hopefully you will see the value of the potential with Coresignal and bringing that into Clay and what content it can create for you.